Really that ultimate control deck for him to butt heads with some of his slowest decks, and in fact one of his big control buster decks in Summoner Mage has still been respect banned out by Killinallday, even though he has a much faster lineup where, you know, Miracle Priest, Nomi Priest, even though you would call him to make the scheme topsy-turvy combo happen, then yeah, you're not interacting with Mage's minions too much. It's worth pointing out that, you know, Killin is playing 2 Mass Hysteria, which is a big departure from the standard ladder lists. I think primarily for the reason of Mage, expecting to see it around in the tournament, expecting that he might have to beat it here and there. But because Languagehacker is not running a control warrior of his own or any warrior variant whatsoever, Killinallday essentially just had to have a little bit more flexibility with his ban and moved on to that Mage as kind of a second choice ban.
It seems good to me. It's Mage, one of the standout decks of this tournament, but we can talk more about that a little bit later on. Let's get into game number 1, Killinallday versus Languagehacker, another America's region fight to the death at this point, and it's going to be the Zoo versus the Hunter, and you know, a matchup I'm still kind of undecided on, because just all the different builds of all these different decks really makes it difficult to have any just firm decisions on what should win.
Sure.
Because again, you look at some Sea Giants and Burst versus some slower versions of Zoo, and then you look at the Hunters, even like Double Dire Frenzy versus some other builds, Scale Hide or not Scale Hide. The list kind of even goes on within the same more or less deck list.
Yeah, but I think regardless of how you put together your Hunter deck, the one common denominator is that you're going to want to be drawing a lot of Unleash the Hounds in this matchup, and Languagehacker has managed to piece that together nice and early, so we'll likely see him now with this tracking pickup as well, potentially go fishing for something to pair with that Unleash. Direwolf, Timberwolf, Scavenging Hyena, finds the Timberwolf off the tracking. I think you'd be hard-pressed to get yourself off that, although the Spring Pour here does allow you to take board early, but I don't think it's a lasting benefit beyond the outclasses taking the Timberwolf for that combo swing.
And the Mark Shot might actually help kill a Carpet and get you another Unleash the Hounds, potentially. So, you know, you never know. There's reasons for everything.
You're a dreamer, as always.
Yep, well, one of us has got to be. But yeah, I feel like although Timberwolf and Spring Pour are good, without Hyena, I don't really feel like
the Spring Pour, okay,
gets there. I think Hyena was the #1 look for me, to be honest. Okay. Making a big Hyena, I feel, is the way to beat Zoo.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I think it's... Okay, I think it's probably the quickest way to beat Zoo. I think if you get Unleashes with Direwolves and Timberwolves and just use them for clearing power, and then you start scaling into Unleash the Beast when you're not significantly behind, I think you can then gradually get on top of them. But I certainly think Hyena is the swingiest, fastest, most effective way that you can win the matchup.
And here's problem #1 quite early in the game on turn 2 from Killing. You're just going to play a Carpet and say, there's literally nothing you can do about this.
Yeah, there's no Deadly Shot in the list, which we saw in the previous series come in as a tech card.
Now you've got to start thinking, maybe Mark Shot was the right pick.
I don't know if I'm going that far, Raven.
I know, I am joking, but there is some consideration to think about. A lot of players, or a lot of players just in general think, well, you kind of just have to hope they don't have worst case scenario for you.
Yeah.
But if you can do something to say, well, actually, you know, like the Van Cleef turns, right? If someone does play a Van Cleef and you can get an answer to it, then you just remove that as a game-winning possibility.
Sure.
Because I do feel that with this Carpet down, everything Languagehacker is going to do is kind of gets nullified to a large extent. Because you know any minion you play is just going to die.
You do have the read from Languagehacker's side that Killinallday's hand is low on 1-drops, though, because there was no play on turn 1, which is catastrophically unlikely for this build of Zoo. So he knows the Magic Carpet is not a massive immediate threat. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, and it makes me go back to that Spring Pour pick. It feels like Spring Pour, there is the choice to attempt not to fall behind in the immediacy, whereas Timberwolf is the card that will catch you up more later. And I think trying not to fall behind as this Hunter deck against Zoo early is kind of just an exercise in futility. I feel like you are going to fall behind.
Right.
So
Unleash sucks if you're ahead.
Right. So for me, like, picking the catch-up mechanism there just made a lot more sense. But, well, this is the world we live in now. Languagehacker's gone Spring Pour. We'll see if it works out.
Just a small note as well, we've discussed Zoo deck lists at length this tournament, but just to give you guys an outline, if you've just seen Killing for the first time so far this tournament, depending on your busy schedules, I'm sure, but double Sea Giant, Leroy Jenkins, and then, as far as I'm aware, a 0 on the Soulfire count, but double Bloodsail Corsair.
Yep.
It is a slight difference you'll see. And I believe Languagehacker was shocked that more people just didn't auto-put Bloodsail Corsair in the list.
Yeah.
I believe he said that in his interview, correct?
I believe so, yeah. Which I kind of like. You know, I've been a big advocate for Soulfire in the deck throughout the tournament so far, but I think Bloodsail Corsair is a pretty solid tech inclusion in that slot when you're having a strategy of leaving up Rogue, which Killin certainly is with the decks that he's playing.
Sideways benefit as well, because a lot of these Hunter players are bringing double Headhunter's Hatchet, which does play a little bit havoc just down to the sheer amount of charges you get. 3 swings, which is effectively 3 Warlock minion kills, unless it's going to hit Refarm.
Yeah, and Bloodsail Corsair was the 1-drop that Killinallday had in his hand, the sole 1-drop on turn 1, and he chose not to play it. Because obviously playing it into your opponent's turn 2 and then just equip a Headhunter's Hatchet and smack it would feel a little bit foolish.
Yep, and if you've been, you know, half listening, half watching this game up until now, might not be the most explosive start, things are about to get spicy. Because there's an Evil Genius, which we all know how powerful lackeys are by now. There's the Grim Rally, and then in response, there is Unleash Hyena as well.
But the Unleash just tickles this board state, honestly. It's really not getting there. If there's a Grim Rally that comes down this turn, which I'd kind of very much expect there to be, based on a past turn 4 from Languagehacker. Yep, exactly. I think Killinallday has the right read here. He looked at Languagehacker's previous turn and says, oh, you're doing nothing on turn 4? Then I'm going to put you on having Unleash the Hounds in hand, and I'm going to reduce my amount of minions on the board, go narrower and taller with the threats that I have, and just make you unleash this poor board anyway.
And again, you do have to rewind time, consider what the Springpaw has done versus what a Timberwolf would achieve.
Yeah, he does pick up the Direwolf here, does Languagehacker, which kind of bails him out just a little bit. It works out very much better than the Timberwolf would in this spot by leaving a slightly chunkier minion behind on board. But yeah, he was looking very desperate in that situation.
But even now you could see it where if, you know, obviously we can't just reconstruct the game perfectly from a past decision changed. But Timberwolf, Unleash, and Hyena starts making very crazy things happen.
Yeah. Of course, if if you want to give full justice to it, if the Springpaws weren't played, then there would be some additional Death Rattle minions in play that wouldn't have been traded open. The Grim Rally would have been bigger. There would have been more pressure applied. So they have served a purpose. But I'm still Team Timberwolf on that one.
Yeah. Now Languagehacker is finally getting to the point in the game where he has some, or at least a wider variety of decisions to make. Mainly because of Unleash the Beast is going to be just one big minion that's going to be able to have an active effect on the board on the turn he plays it, but it is just one minion still, which is the key problem I have with this card.
And here's one of the unique picks for Killinallday. The Hench Clan Hogsteed, not something we've been seeing a ton of in decks so far in this tournament, but Killinallday was really happy with it when we talked to him in our interviews. He said it was a really, really strong inclusion, happy that he brought it, thought it could be potentially game-winning in a number of spots, and it's a really nice pickup there off the tap just to take out that Direwolf Alpha, allow him to push full damage, maximize pressure on the opponent. Languagehacker is not looking too rosy.
Yep, and you can see the problem already. Yes, there's Unleash. Yes, there's Hyena, Tundra Rhino, even this Unleash the Beast, which... unfortunately not, friend. That one cannot go face.
His hunter instincts just got the better of him for a second.
Just go with that instead of Unleash into Hyena, just in case Unleash into Hyena does something else. But you know what does something pretty good too? Leroy Jenkins.
Kobold Lackey.
So his cousin, I guess, doing the extra bit of damage needed and Killinallday. Quite frankly, Sol takes a very straightforward win with that Zoo deck.
Yep. And I think that is, what, back-to-back Zoo games, or at least, very, very close together, and they potentially leave Warrior up. But it hasn't really panned out that way. It's definitely been doing the job of beating Warriors. It's been doing that just fine. But beyond that, it does look like it's struggled in a lot of the other matchups.
All right, let's move quickly on to game number 2. Killinallday on his Warrior, speaking of which, and Languagehacker on his Hunter, although not quite the raw, straight-up target Languagehacker wants from this Hunter, as the Warrior is a Bomb Warrior. So Killing, I think, one of the few Western players that had a full belief in Bomb Warrior over the Control Warrior, whereas normally what we've seen is Bomb Warrior suit really popular in the East.
And there you see Mulligan Strats 101 from Languagehacker. We talked to, I believe, both him and Bloodyface about this in our interviews, and we asked him, you know, what is exactly the strategy against Warrior? How do you play the game out? You know, is it Tundra Rhinos and Dire Frenzies? And like, yeah, pretty much. You Dire Frenzy a Tundra Rhino, you Dire Frenzy a Timberwolf, and then you just burst them from hand every single turn until they die. But supplementary to that is the Zul'jin that allows you to reload at a key point of the game where you're just about running out of steam and carry you through to that late game position where you can burst them down with Tundra Rhinos. So we then followed up with the question, well, does that mean Zul'jin is a keep? Is it kind of essential in the matchup? And they said, yeah, hand dependent, it's a keep. And Languagehacker there, I think, mulliganed everything except Zul'jin, which I don't know what's hand dependent about that. That sounds like Zul'jin is just a keep to me.
Interesting for me, though, is, yes, Hunter does that versus Warrior, but Bomb Warrior, I don't really know what this list does to beat just the tempo minions that can be played by Killing. Even this 3-4 is going to be a little bit of a problem. And then so on, you know, a Dinomatic, there's the Militia Commander. All of these minions might not be the highest damage minions in the world, but there are limited options to actually remove them, because I'll tell you what, Unleash the Hounds often doesn't.
I feel like everyone else in the world thinks that Bomb Warrior plays a much higher quality of minion than I do.
Well, they have more than 1 health, which is my Unleash point.
Sure.
I look at the Hunter list, see a lot of 1-mana 1/1s.
There's Tundra Rhinos, there's Dire Frenzies, there's Animal Companions, there's Unleash the Beasts.
I mean, the Dire Frenzy is going to help massively, of course. I just feel a lot of that might be a little bit late. Maybe I'm just a god and play like on-curve Bomb Warrior every single day, single day of the week.
That's what I'm feeling like everyone in the world is. It really does begin to baffle me. And Killinallday's right up there with him, to be perfectly honest, because there's the boom on 7. The answer to all your problems.
And even if you just choose, there are definitely options here, but you could just coin Dinomatic and just call that one a day.
Do you need to use the coin in this spot, though, with a Militia Commander in hand?
Sure, that's what I mean. It's just options. You could even just Shield Slam if you really want. Probably better saving that for a Tundra Rhino, I guess, if just played out on a blank turn.
Killen says yes.
I think he doesn't want a 1-health minion. Right?
I think that's the point.
He just dies.
Because he very specifically knows there's a Lynx in hand as well. So I think this is it just says, all right, I want the board this turn, and I'm going to make it as difficult as possible for the opponent to counteract this.
I think that was just a slight stall there, graphically, but we caught up.
I think that was just Languagehacker holding, actually, for some reason.
Doesn't it hold on? Oh, maybe on Spectate it's not. Because normally it's red, the marker, right?
Oh, really? Okay.
There's Animal Companion. That's definitely a minion that could do some work, a little bit more threatening than a 1/1. But now Killinallday can play a little bit backwards now. The Town Crier definitely helps filling out this curve.
So that's the god draw, honestly. Based on him coining out and breaking his curve. That's spectacular.
Yeah. But even if he played Militia Commander into this 1/1,
yeah,
it really isn't the end of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also he had Militia Commander locked and loaded, ready for a Tundra Rhino. It still does the same job, just the other way around.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, now Darius. See, look at all these great cards, Sol. This is how you play Bomb Warrior. Just draw the stuff. Now, though, Unleash the Beast is going to be played. There is I'd say a slight lack of weapon is what Killing would like to have at this point, mainly because it's just a little bit more flexible in the removal.
Yeah, it's definitely the easiest card to pair with the Elic, right? The easiest one to just get rolling. Yeah. It's key in a lot of the more aggressive matchups where you're just trying to fight for tempo. It's also very key in control matchups because of how easily you can combo it in the late game with Elic, and then other cards drop down alongside that for, 6+ bombs going into the deck as a single turn. It adds your win condition in the late game.
Oh, this is kind of funny. The attack here means that I was thinking of Darius Shield Slam might get something done, but the attack just removes the 1 armor that was needed to make the Shield Slam work on the 5/2. Ziliak's another very high impact card. A little bit later on, especially because Boom's already in hand, you can almost always magnetize that later.
What now?
1 mana off doing everything that you could ever want to do as Killing here. Even if that doesn't involve play Dr. Boom.
Defend the gates!
Well, the Militia Commander does come down here. Since you brought it up, I've did like kind of holding on to that as an answer for a Tundra Rhino when it comes down, but I guess Killen's saying at this point, if Tundra Rhino comes down, it's likely to be paired with his second Dire Frenzy when he draws that anyway, so I might as well just use the remover while I can.
And most importantly, once you've played Boom, everything's a Militia Commander in my book, Sol.
Fair.
I think just holding it to just bridge that gap so you don't just get curved.
Yeah, I think it was very smart.
It is actually very nice. I like that a lot. And asking Languagehacker to have almost exactly marked shot to deal with the Dynamatic first of all, to keep it as a backup. It's pretty nice. Now, Languagehacker does have probably the card that has kept Hunter alive in the past couple of expansions, is the Master's Call. So he does have the refill as and when. He's just going to play that second 5/5, which Killinallday can't be too shocked at with Twin Spell. You know it's there. It doesn't shuffle the card in the deck or anything. You know there's always an option for the second spell to be cast in the following turn.
Yeah, I think Operation Languagehacker right now is just play powerful spells for the next couple of turns so that he can have a power spike with Zul'jin in the very, very near future. He already has both copies, the natural twin spell and the duplicate of Unleash the Beast. He already has a Dire Frenzy in there, Animal Companion in hand, Master's Call to throw in there as well. He's already played one marked shot. It's a pretty juicy looking Zul'jin already.
Really, it is. And I think I just like Boom here from Killing. I don't think anything...
On turn 7?
I know it's wild. I know it's a wild suggestion.
Slow down with these revolutionary ideas.
I know. So my reasoning was he could... Okay, that's fine as well. I was thinking at worst, you just get Boom down as quickly as possible, because once you play Boom, your plans could dramatically change every single turn based on the hero power, based on the next draw because of Rush, so on and so on.
Yeah.
And he could have always have done that turn the turn after. But he did just get the weapon equipped and locked and loaded.
Well, it's interesting because the curiosity with this Hunter deck is that the players who have brought it to the tournament have made it very clear that they feel it is a burst deck in the Hunter matchup. So weirdly, like when you play Dr. Boom, you do suddenly become a little bit vulnerable because you don't have that incremental armor anymore, right? Like that's one of the reasons why the players who brought this deck have argued that it's so powerful against Warrior, because we kind of live in Bizarro world now where the one thing that Warrior is weak to is burst damage, which is the exact opposite of everything we're used to knowing since, you know, original Justicar and then going through, you know, Gen and Baku land where they just get to play it from the start.
Yeah, honestly, just first few days of expansion, when everyone was playing Bomb Warrior, I was playing the Malygos Hunter and Wrecking Warriors because they just don't have enough armor. My only query is 2 armor a turn enough to stop the Hunter burst?
No, I don't think it is.
It really isn't.
No.
Now both Booms in hand.
I think the plan from Killen, though, is just to try and gain some tempo with some of these efficient cards that he has in hand first, the Wrench Caliber, the Darius, the Ziliax, and then try and get Boom down in a different position. But then again, maybe not. Well, just going to slam it in a worse position than he was in last turn.
This was my thought. Take the hit last turn, and then stuff gains you tempo because they are mechs.
Right.
And you can make the rush plays a little bit more consistently. Shield Slam is nice, though. Means you can just get rid of this. And Shield Slam with Boom is nice because you just gain 7 armor, which kills most minions even on its own. Never mind with an extra armor already topped up.
Yeah, that is a definite upside in what Killen did in waiting for 8, is that he can go for the immediate Boom Shield Slam, whereas if he'd have played it on the previous turn, just jam the Boom into the 5/5, the 5/5 immediately chunks away that bit of armor that you gain. But he is sat on a shield block in his hand to pair with that Shield Slam at any time as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay, so now that's a reasonable amount of damage on board somehow, and it's, you know, we were talking about Lynxes and stuff. And but as always, Dire Frenzy really putting in the work, and here's an extra 5 for good measure. Languagehacker is saying right now, but here's the big question. The Dire Frenzy was used on a Lynx. Those are not Tundra Rhinos or Timberwolves. So is the burst level the same? Or is it dramatically reduced?
There's still a second copy that can still go on a Tundra Rhino. I believe Languagehacker is playing the double Rhino, double Frenzy list, right? 2 Rhino, 2 Frenzy, yes. And also, by playing the Rhino this turn, there is a tiny percentage world where Killinallday doesn't have much removal in his hand. Very, very difficult to do when you've just played a hero that turns every card in your deck into removal, because that's fair, but more on that later. But if the Rhino sticks and he then intends to curve into Zul'jin next turn, he's giving himself the opportunity of the Dire Frenzy that gets recast from Zul'jin going onto this Tundra Rhino where he wants it to be.
Boom's good here.
Also, he just wants to make hand space for the Zul'jin next turn as well, because it's going to be ripping some Master's Calls and unleash the beasts.
Rush the enemy!
Okay, gonna go for Darius instead. I wondered whether on that turn, whether just 2 bombs were enough.
Is there 2 bombs?
Well, after the attack, there would be.
Is that not the first?
No, sorry, 2 boom bots.
Okay.
Apologies,
Right.
2 boom bots.
That is a very important
No,
distinction.
No. You know what? Completely correct.
Yeah.
I just didn't cross my mind because both those things go boom.
Yeah.
But yes, 2 boom bots from the Blastmaster boom being played because there is 1 bomb shuffled in the deck after the weapon has attacked. There you go. Another marked shot that could go down on the Darius. I don't think Languagehacker's in a grand rush to just slam Zul'jin right now.
No, again, I think he just needs to hand dump again before he can do it. He's got a Master's Call and a Twin Spell Unleash the Beast in there, so he's going to fill up.
Most importantly, waiting to cast a second Dying Frenzy wouldn't be too bad either.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's not like he's any close to dying anytime soon.
Right.
He's got at least 2 to 3 turns, I think, of safety.
Yeah, it's a little different, but, you know, like if you're playing a rogue deck with sprint in it, like most people would advise that you burn through like every other resource in your hand first to try and get ahead, and then use sprint as like the last card in your hand to refill. The difference between that and a card like Zul'jin is not only resource generation, it's also an insane tempo spike.
Right.
So it's actually like you have a lot of freedom to just kind of use it when you want. But Languagehacker's #1 problem right now is just that he doesn't have space for all the awesome things that Zul'jin's going to do, because that's now a second marked shot he's added into the pool as well that's going to add stuff to his
So he'll
hand.
gain +3 cards, I believe, off the top of my head. Because he's
Well,
not tracked yet.
+3 from Master's Call on its own, +2.
Oh, sorry, Master's Call was played.
Plus
yeah, so
2
plus
from the
6.
marked shot, +1 from the
plus
Unleash the
6,
Beast
yeah.
as well.
You're right. Not played tracking yet, though, right? Tracking was last game?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so... And he probably won't play tracking now. It's not a card you overtly need in the matchup unless literally double Dire Frenzies, maybe bottom of the deck.
Yeah, not unless
maybe.
Killinallday gives him a very good
Yeah,
reason to
exactly.
play tracking.
I mean, I see 9 mana's worth of mech fun that could happen this turn, so... Don't know if it needs to happen this turn, but that is a very large Ziliax.
Ah, that 9 mana's worth of mech fun.
Ooh.
I see.
That is very, very interesting. Were you watching the cams then?
No.
Literally, as Killin locked in that turn, there was constant glances over at Languagehacker to be like, what's your response to this play? He just constantly glanced at it.
He's been doing that constantly, and it kind of looks like he's just like spiking the camera all the time.
Yeah,
It feels
yeah.
like he's just piercing my soul with those doleful eyes of
do you
his.
enjoy it?
I do.
I thought so. Here's the hand fill we talked about. Dire Frenzy. Oh, okay. Not bad.
Sure.
Nice and cheap.
We'll take
think
those,
it's
I guess.
important. Okay. Hello, Mr. Murloc.
All right. Well, it looks like the 3-7's going down.
Wow. That was a nice one. Has bought Kellen some time because of the lifesteal, and obviously this Wyvern can't actually charge into phase because it only has rush.
Yeah.
Plus the Languagehacker didn't want to take the damage on it.
Yeah, you play into Warpath pretty heavily that way. Warpath will still clear at 5 health. There it is off the top, but it does mean full mana allocation if Killen does want to full clear the board with it.
Yeah, can do a bit different with that hero power, right? You can gain a 1/1, can he? Or did that? No, he uses it up, doesn't he? Never mind.
Okay.
No,
then.
you can use the hero power for the last one.
Oh, right, yeah, it does go 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Oh, wait, no, I'm right.
Well, until you bowed out, and then you were wrong again.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, well, surviving the Zul'jin turn is definitely a good step for Killing, and now he's actually considering whether he wants to even make extra minions, because there is Unleash in the deck,
Sure.
and Hyenas. I will say he has ways to deal with those, so I don't think it's too upsetting if it comes down on 2 minions. And there's a burnt Hyena. Not really the end of the world.
I wouldn't say so, no.
This is
Wow,
Rhino
Languagehacker
number
is
two.
just going to go in with Rhino number 2. Yeah, feels like he's got enough to just get the job done with the extra Dire Frenzies that he already has in there.
So now, if I recall, there is 1 Dire Frenzy left in the deck. There is 1 4/4 Spring Paw in the deck, and 3. What shape would they be? 5/4 Hench Clan Hogsteeds in the deck.
Yep.
So there's still a lot of juice, as you can see by the
And that was
17
already
to 12.
Even without the dream scenario we were talking about, there is Dire Frenzy on neither the Tundra Rhino or the Timberwolf right now. It's still, look at the level of burst damage that Languagehacker's output just on that one turn. Traded through his opponent's board and pushed, what, 12?
Yeah, that's scary.
Then.
Replicating Menace can get some work done along with the Owl, maybe? Plus hero power? Does he feel safe at 9, though?
How far away are we from just roll the dice boombot turn?
Okay, then.
I don't know. Replicating Menace kind of does the same job, though, right? It rushes for 3 and then another 3. And then the hero power does another 3.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels a little bit safer. You don't end up with a 7/7, which sucks, but you also might not end up dead, which doesn't suck.
That use thing.
2 into the Rhino, so now Killing doesn't have to worry about Rhinos anymore, as that is both gone. So now the charge, burst damage from hand doesn't actually exist, and there is still Brawls left.
And now these trackings might come into play for Languagehacker because he's kind of committed to ending the game now. Yeah, exactly. I love this timing from Languagehacker because on the previous turn, by committing that second Tundra Rhino, he's kind of said, all right, I'm all in now. I'm going to kill you before you stabilize from this point onwards. Tracking is a card that can help him do this. I think he should trust his first instincts there. I like the trackings.
Either way, I hope a secret comes down this turn. Because now you want to start making Killing's turns as awkward as possible, and having to consider Freezing Trap is very awkward.
So he's going to go Cybertech Secret Plan? Is that the plan? No, he's going to force the damage through as well. Interesting.
Well, if he Secret Planned, he couldn't do the Secret anyway, right? With Cybertech?
Yeah, he just would skip hero power. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he just couldn't play the Secret.
Yeah. You'd
Right,
at least be generate the secret, you
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
play it.
Oh, do you think he's okay, honestly, do you think he's ever worried
Worried
about
tracking
'cause of
over the bombs. Yeah.
It's got to be in your mind.
I
It's got to be in
think
your mind.
I have the least respect for bombs being in my deck than any other human being on the planet right now. So I might not be the right person to ask that question, but I honestly have not let bombs panic me in any game of Hearthstone that I've played so far, and it's worked out just fine for me in the matchup.
Were you playing Elysiana decks?
No.
It's just, because I wiped them from the deck.
How long have you known me
I
for?
know.
You think I'm playing Elysiana?
Here come the boom bots. Quick nod from Languagehacker going, okay, 1. Okay, 4. And Piz, talking to an admin. Guess we'll get a pause if there's a problem.
Through lip reading, he said, the sound cut out, but it's fine now. So I think we're good.
Wow, Sol's showing off talents I actually didn't know he had, and now I'm a little bit worried about talking about him behind his back. If he turns around, he can read my lips. Okay, so that turn would have happened regardless. It looks like Languagehacker is fine. The game would have been paused if there was a dramatic and serious problem. Now, for a second now, I was like, okay, so Security Rover rushes to create a taunt. Wait, he isn't the warrior.
Languagehacker is going to go for the tracking now. He has double unleash with Timberwolf already, which gets him very close. Hang on. 3, 6, 7, 8. He's 1 mana off lethal with the second Timberwolf, I believe. Yep.
And that's one way to get rid of bombs.
Sure is. Unless you really want to assert dominance. Just smack, far right, boom, take the bomb.
And then just hold it.
Yeah.
Then play it the turn you have lethal.
Yeah. Tracker number 2. Animal Companion is damaged, potentially.
Roll the Animal Comp.
But Hench Clan Hogsteed is a huge boy.
Animal Comp's lethal if you're good at it. Oh. Misdirection
Misdirection, yeah.
could get spicy.
Ping face, misdirect.
Enjoy your decisions.
Killinallday needs to do a whole world of things right now because that double Unleash plus double Timberwolf plus hero power combo that Languagehacker was 1 mana off on the previous turn is now locked and loaded and ready to go, and there's no blast shield on the side of Killinallday.
Most importantly, there is a Discover mech, though, which is second best right now, and that does not look like a Ziliax to me, which was the best Discover off the top of my head. Must be right, healing.
Little 2/2 armor puppy. I don't know the name of.
Armor pup.
Yep. That thing can get the job done too. If you get both of them,
Oh,
throw some bones in there, you got a stew going.
feel like that's a reference to something I don't know.
It sure is.
Oh. And now, the decision from Killinallday.
Do it!
Oh.
How could you... Look, you could... Killing, let's be real here. You're going to die. How could you...
Wait, he should play a minion first, right?
Surely
It
you just...
doesn't affect
Surely
anything.
you want to know what's in the box. How can you let this game end without knowing what's in the box?
Play a minion first. Oh, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to play into Unleash. Not that it matters. The 2 damage from Languagehacker. It's hero power. Plus a pair of little doggos for the third, slightly bigger doggo. Is going to end this game. And Languagehacker takes the win versus the Warrior. And it's one of the more impressive games of Hunter I've seen, to be completely honest, Sal.
And that's the matchup.
Yeah,
That's what I said to you right away, right? Like, that's the matchup they've been looking for the whole time. But you still have to evaluate the rationale where people have said, well, you know, why aren't you just bringing Rodiana Shudderwock Shaman going up against a warrior? In this case, the Bomb Warrior from Killinallday. Now, this is not going to reach the dizzying heights of turn 30 and beyond that we saw Frodan and Kibler keeping track of in the previous series, because this is not the Control Warrior from Killinallday. This is the Bomb Warrior. He has finality. When he runs out of cards, he runs out of cards. He's got to giddy up and get going and get bombs in the deck and put Languagehacker under pressure and kill him. And this is the thing that people tell me Bomb Warrior can do, so I want to see it.
Well, I think we're about to. That's normally how time works and how games work in general. But for what I want to see here, it might sound a bit silly to mention, but the small point is Languagehacker really needs to keep track of exactly how many bombs are in the deck all time, because in terms of you can't play around like 3-4 bombs in a row that easily, right? Sometimes it happens based on what Killing wants to do.
Yes.
And he only really runs 2 Witch's Brew, so he needs to time those heals and heal to the correct amount.
Yes.
Because it doesn't always happen, but he might just die.
And you also, in the late game, have to keep that in track as well as to when you want to throw out your Elysiana.
Exactly.
Because eventually you're going to hit a critical mass where there's potentially more bombs left in your deck than actual cards. And if you really want to dig down into it and get that perfectly right, it's a constant statistical calculation of feeling where you think your win rate in the matchup is, based on what your percentage chance of dying off the next draw or chain of draws of bombs is, counteracting those against each other and finding the correct turn to Elysiana. I would be amazed if more than 1 or 2 players would do that consistently in this matchup after an hour of playing it already. But Languagehacker is one of the most, analysis-driven players that I've seen. Might honestly be on that level.
Yeah, to be honest, I picked Languagehacker during his win at Champs. I predicted him to do well, and he won. And it was purely based on after we spoken to him in his interview. Because I heard him talk about the game and about himself. I was like, this guy is very smart. He knows what he's talking about, and he seems cool, calm, and collected. And I think we've seen some of that from him in this tournament as well. So I'm looking forward to see what happens. But as this game has progressed, Languagehacker's turned a Control Shaman into a beatdown deck somehow. I'm not sure how, but what's been going on?
He's also played a 3-mana Gadgetzan Auctioneer, which...
Pretty good card.
with stealth. It's a 3-mana Gadgetzan Conceal for 1 card.
It's a pretty good card.
Yeah. Obviously there are caveats to that. But in the world of hyperbole, it stands untested.
I think you mean Hyperbole.
Hyperbole, yes. Today, these 2 players will compete at the Hyperbole.
I mean, that just sounds cooler.
It does, yeah.
Just like Tortoise.
But this, yeah, it's insane. Obviously, there are deck-building sacrifices that you have to make in order to make Spirit of the Frog consistent. But the sacrifices are not that great. when you, oh, I have to play Haunting Visions in my deck, so I have a 3-mana spell that I can draw into. Okay, sign me up.
Yeah, funnily enough, he actually doesn't play Farsight in this deck. So a very common combo is, if you have them both in hand, obviously it's Haunting Visions to discover whatever spell you may need, and then it reduces Farsight to 0, which then draws a card, which then reduces that by 3, so and you can actually get a bit silly.
Yeah, you play Haunting Visions. Haunting Visions draws your Hex from casting the 3-mana spell. You pick a cheap spell off the Haunting Visions, which costs 0. You then play that, and that starts your chain all the way back through of 1, 2, 3 again. It's nuts.
Mossy Horrors. Cards that have been teched across the board, more or less, in Languagehacker's lineup. 2 in this Shaman deck particular, all targeting Token Druid. Well, Languagehacker, bit of a swing and a miss in that one, but might have some nice squash versus Zoo. But in this matchup, Sol, okay, is going to wreck an Iron Beak Owl.
Sure is. Kills the Militia Commander when it's on cooldown.
Side note as well, there are cards such as Mutate, which can evolve a 6-drop like Mossy Horror that might stick around to a 7-drop. So
not in the deck though, right? Just Hagatha.
No,
yeah.
I
was going to say, I misread something if he's playing Mutate in his deck.
Yep. Also, you know, Elysiana discovers, so on, so on. All I'm saying is we're in a very discover and created by meta. As we've seen so far in this tournament, wacky things can happen.
Yes.
And I think, honestly, the players who have mastery of these nutty situations are the players that are going to end up doing the best. There's Elysiana, locked, loaded, and ready to go for about 20 more turns from now.
Yeah. Yeah, there is, you know, created by situations are much maligned, and rightly so in some cases. But to deny that there is a skill edge to be found in mastering random elements of the game is kind of futile, because we've seen it time after time again. I will always remember Purple at a championship event turning a random outcome from Lich King, where he rolled Anti-Magic Shell, into a game-winning scenario where 99% of players would have looked at that game and thought it was unwinnable. And he took a random out that he got and then used it to leverage himself into a skill edge position, because he knew exactly what to do with the situation and the card that he was given. When that gets more ridiculous than just Lich King delivering you a card from a pool of cards, when it suddenly becomes when it suddenly becomes a full, you know, game-wide created by scenario, the reason why it feels truly random and like, oh, I couldn't have done anything, is because it's beyond our bounds as humans to calculate all the possible permutations. But it doesn't mean that you can't get closer than your opponent and still find an edge.
And here, a bit of a slower turn there from Languagehacker now, to be expected, and killing. No wonder he likes Warrior. There's Dr. Boom ready for turn 7 for the second game in a row. Wasn't enough last game, but this is definitely a very, very different matchup. So Dr. Boom can start getting cooking as quickly as possible. I don't see any real reason why it would be delayed in any way.
It's almost the same hand. Militia Commander was there, Iron Beak Owl was there, Shield Slam was there when Dr. Boom was drawn.
One shield block away from if the Omega Assembly was a shield block.
Omega Assembly was a shield block, and I can't quite remember what the second Shield Slam was, but he's right in the neighborhood of the exact hand he had last time around. Wrench Caliber, maybe, was played?
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Well, the value engines are online. Boom on 7, Hagatha on 8.
It's very funny to me that 2 different classes can create 2 extremely similar decks with a lot of class cards.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you not think? Like, yes, there's Elysiana, sure, like, you know, everyone can play that. But look at Hagatha, Dr. Boom. Look at all the removal tools versus the mirrored removal tools. The card draws mirrored, and so on, so on. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
And who would have thought that the 2 only successful control decks that have been found so far are in the 2 classes that have, or 2 of the 3 classes, I should say, that have the legacy hero cards left over to them.
I'm shocked.
What a weird coincidence that is.
This is my shocked voice.
Yeah.
What to do?
If only Rexar and Zul'jin were switched. Which means all 3 decks can just go on forever yet again.
I mean, I never want to play the version of Hearthstone that's designed by you and other Hunter players.
I never said it was a good idea. I'm just saying, what if?
Many things you have pitched as good ideas are also the stuff of nightmares.
Can't prove it.
Okay.
Again, Killing can pick off this totem now, but okay, at this point, is there any merit to, and not the totem, sorry, I mean the Spirit of the Frog, is there any point to not killing it off?
I think Languagehacker has actually been a little caught up over the past few turns. He had a really juicy lightning bolt there, for example, to take care of that 2-4 and chose not to use it. Primarily more for overload reasons, I would imagine, because he wants to coin the Hagatha. But there is a point where even with, you know, the potential Elysiana going back in, you don't want to turbo through your deck too fast. But I don't think that's necessarily the case because of straight up fatigue against Bomb Warrior, because they're just playing 0 Elysianas, right? Like, you are not going to be fatigued by this deck at any point. But I think drawing cards at certain times does have implications of when there are and are not bombs in your deck, as to one of the things that Languagehacker potentially feels like he can lose to is actually the Dr. Boom being played with a lot of boom bots, clearing out his final board when there are bombs in the deck. So he may want to time his card draw to either be drawing cards when there are or are not bombs in the deck, just depending on what the game state situation is.
Exactly, and if he draws heavily now, yes, he's fine, he's got Elysiana, whatever, but if he draws heavily, then Killing could shuffle, you know, what, 6 bombs maybe into the deck, and then, well, you can't play Elysiana to wipe them if you draw them and die that turn. Like,
you know, he preloads a Wrench Caliber and then just goes Elic, 3-drop, 3-drop, and suddenly there's 6 bombs in your deck and you've pulled yourself down to 3 cards.
I know as well is there is no weapon removal in the Shaman deck, so he can just sit with a Wrench Caliber till he draws double Elic and a Goblin as well, and just go really crazy. Now, hand's getting a little bit clogged up. Because the problem is Spirit of the Frog swaps itself for a spell, but then also continues to draw cards, which with his hand so full and Hagatha down as well, it's not the best draw. I think he would have preferred that to be at the bottom of the deck, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah.
Path dimly lit.
There's another nice freedom that Languagehacker does have in this matchup, though, that he didn't have last time around, where I don't believe Killen is playing Hecklebots either. No, he's not. So I think we saw several times Languagehacker just assume the clenched position once or twice when Hecklebot was dropped onto the board and he still had his Shudderwock remaining in the deck. Or no, his Elysiana was the one remaining in the deck, I think.
Haunting Visions again. Now, this is the point, right? So, discover a spell created by whatever. This is a tough pick right now because he's got so many cards.
Yeah.
He's got to be mindful of what he actually wants. He's got to be mindful of Overload from a Feral Spirit. Haunted Visions continues to give him more cards. Then he's got to be mindful of how many cards he's even got left in the deck and what he even wants to do with this discovered card.
I was going to say, most importantly, he needs to play a spell this turn that does not draw him a card, which in that case was playing a 0-mana spell since he's out of 1 cost to draw, because otherwise he was just sitting on a full hand size and then has the 1 in 13 currently, or 1 in 12 it would be if it drew, to burn his Shudderwock off the top.
Okay, there's Omega Assembly. I do.
There's 2 mechs that die to a Mossy Horror as well.
Yeah. Just love there's a 0-3 stealth on the board versus a 1-4 mech that has a catapult effect basically. It's just weird Hearthstone, so we've got to a weird place. But suddenly now this hand's going to start getting a little bit weird. Triple Lightning Storm.
Triple Storm, Triple Brew.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he just dumps them. Or at least 2 of them.
Agreed.
Because take the Overload, you're hardly under threat of death right now. There isn't a Wrench Caliber equipped, so there's no shenanigans going to happen quite yet. So I think you need to get rid of something.
So he'll Haunting Visions now, and then probably play Storm number 2, which now draws nothing and creates the gap in his hand that he needs to continue. This is going to be Languagehacker's pattern for the next couple of turns, I imagine, just making hand space to make sure he can continue to draw cards.
I'm wondering if he's going to... Like, what is the optimal outcome as a discovered Shaman spell? Is it Stormbringer in this matchup?
Eureka with this hand would be extremely powerful.
With the Walking Fountain?
I mean, even with Elysiana, just 3/7/7 on the board is the business.
I guess. Okay, I'm going to ask you a weird question, Sol. We've hit that point in the match.
Go on.
If Killing never plays a card for the rest of the game, or at least a minion, does the game get very strange with the sheer hand size of Language?
I don't think so. Not just yet.
Because there's no good targets to Hex, for example.
Right.
He just doesn't play any. He has to Hex his own minions.
Right.
He'll play Elysiana, but then almost have to keep playing stuff to keep drawing the cards, for example. I don't know. It's just a weird... Games like this can go a bit funky. I'm just trying to think outside the box.
Yeah. The problem is, Killing can't really just wait around forever. He can set himself up. He's looking for like that little one-turn window where he can put massive amounts of damage into the deck with a one-turn bomb swing before Languagehacker can play the Elysiana in response. But he has to chip away a little bit of damage to even make that a threat before he can get there.
I was going deeper. I was thinking, wait till he plays Elysiana. He's going to hit Fatigue first by a margin.
Sure.
Wait till he plays Elysiana, run him out of those cards too, and then bomb him. Or bomb him halfway through Elysiana or something.
Sure.
Because there's no bounce for Elysiana. He can't keep doing it.
There's the Shudderwalk, though.
Oh, there is the Shudderwalk. You know what? Because it's not been drawn for so long, I have forgot about it.
Yep.
Okay, so you can do it twice.
Yep.
Okay. Like I said, I'm on the outside of the box train here. In this cast, I'm going to be completely honest. It's a slow game, though. I think it's
Living on the fringes of society.
Well, I think
My ideas were just too out there.
one day everyone will be like, wow, Raven was actually right about a lot of things. It's just we just believed Saul that time.
You had one earlier backstage. Everyone was like, yeah, that was really smart. I don't remember it. It was so traumatizing to me that I've just repressed
Already
it.
blocked it out.
Immediately just gone from my mind.
It's not going to trade, right?
Nope.
I like it. I like it less.
Interesting.
I guess as he got to the point where he's just thought he's probably just drawn them all anyway, so it actually just does nothing. Takes up a board space.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he clearly wants it there taking up a board space, or else he would just rush the Pinata into it.
Yeah, completely free. Would lose nothing except, I don't know, like energy as the mouse click required to aim at it. See what this Lion Storm does, though. Guaranteed place one way or another because of these little tokens that are going to spawn.
And just in case there is a mountain of order lols in Twitch chat right now, that's
okay.
a Shivala.
Okay, okay.
We'll come back to that in a second, but just in case there is a mountain of order lulls in Twitch chat right now, he played the minion with a full hand and therefore did not get the generated spell, but that's because he wants to leave a space in his hand at the end of the turn, because again, he needs to draw that Shudderwalk and not burn it off the top of the deck. That was very deliberate.
Killing probably really wants to draw a Wrench Caliber soon. Well, sooner rather than later, I guess. Oh, nice draw, though. The Militia Commander number 2 is going to be used to just clear off this Thunderhead. And I think that's all Killy wants to do now. He's not letting silly things happen because, as far as he's aware, there could be some funky cards in Languagehacker's hand. And if he lets a Thunderhead just sit on the board and then Bloodlust even chips half his health,
right?
Well, that's a big deal because Killian isn't going to fatigue in this game.
Right. Languagehacker is continuing to have to just throw away cards from his hand. It looks like, okay, Ancestral Spirit is nice, but maybe he's better off still throwing away a Witch's Brew here since he has so many of them. No, he's going to use the Ancestral Spirit. Interesting.
4 Witch's Brews.
Yeah, I feel like with so many Witch's Brews available, he could have just thrown one away there and used the Ancestral Spirit on a higher value target than the Ziliax.
20 Witch's Brews he has in hand?
Yeah.
He's cheating the game!
Yeah. He can heal for 80.
Take that, fatigue. Wait, will he die before he gets to that point? Do the maths.
What?
Will he get to the point where his fatigue hits so high that he can't heal?
Well, he can heal to... Okay, okay,
there you go.
Okay.
Got him, okay.
Leave it with me.
Okay, so I was going to start scribbling down, and I'm going to talk about this Ziliax. Just getting in the way more than anything. And like I said, just once... Languagehacker clearly wants to keep control and keep hold of all of this healing. So he chose to have the Ziliax twice to just reduce down some damage he is going to take from this board, as you always are susceptible to some rush minions. But now that Darius Crowley is just a reasonable question mark for Languagehacker, he does probably want to remove it.
He would hit the time limit before that happened with Elysiana, Shudderwalk, and all those Witches Brews, I believe.
Oh, so it actually hit turn.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Very quick calculation.
So the backup
but I
plan's
think he gets
there.
Yeah, I mean, that's nonsense. That's not where this... Before anyone in chat watching, this is nonsense. This is not where this game's going.
Shield Slurper. It's going to be able to generate a lackey and a spell, so it's kind of a lackey in itself at this point. And he has one extra attack.
A path dimly lit.
But now the game's starting to get funky, isn't it? Because there is the Shudder Walk that Languagehacker is so clearly waiting for.
Yep.
Oh, there's Wrench Caliber though.
And now the combo is piecing together for Killen. Wrench Caliber up one turn, and he at least has Elix, Euphorium Bomber, and Swing on the next. But is he waiting for double?
Yeah, the double goblin.
Clockwork Goblin. It could be a long way away here, though.
Do you believe that you've got the time, though? I feel like you do. How does this Shaman really press you at this point?
Well, so the problem is by the time he gets double Clockwork Goblin, Language might have been out of cards and then back full of cards again, and then you're waiting all over again.
Yes. So what? So right off, he can next turn. Sorry, he can shuffle 4 bombs in, 20 damage, 3 damage from the Wrench Caliber.
Yeah. Jeez, this Shudder Walk is buried for Languagehacker. And this is the big X factor that I guess we haven't really covered here, is that Languagehacker's response, as soon as Killinallday goes for this big bomb push, that bomb push has to kill him immediately in one turn, or at least put so much damage on him that he's pressured to die the next turn. Because his response to that will then be to play Elysiana to transform all the bombs into different cards in his deck. He can't do that safely if his Shudder Walk has not yet been drawn, because he can still then lose the game on fatigue because his Spirit of the Frog has ended up drawing so many cards. A Spirit of the Frog, by the way, that Killinallday has been pretty careful not to kill throughout the game, so that Languagehacker has found himself in this scenario.
Yeah, he waited till very, very late to just silence, then pass on it. And he could have killed it off or silenced it from early. I think that Ironbeak Owl was in hand for, what, all
I've
game?
just pieced it back together. The turn where he didn't kill it, it's because he wanted to play 2 cards so that he wasn't going to fill up on resources in hand. And so the Owl has to silence something, right? And he's not going to silence his own Pinata, so he just silences the thing instead. That's what happened.
Okay.
Hey!
There's the Shudder Walk. Okay. So now Languagehacker has pretty much every stage of his plan.
Yep.
But there is still the question, isn't there? Because if there's the Elic and double Goblin with the Weapon Swing, I believe that's 6, which is 30 if consecutively drawn.
Yep.
Which means this is where it gets tricky, to be completely honest. It's a bit of a tough choice. Every card now, for the next, what, 4 turns, roughly, is going to be... Languagehacker is going to be deep thought as to when this Elysiana can come down. Because he doesn't have armor, so he is just dead to those bombs if they chain. And Killing, at least Languagehacker has to consider it's likely that Killing has most of that combo. The Wrench Caliber's there. Killing's freely played a Sephorian Bomber. Which,
yeah, I mean, is Language sitting there thinking, well, I mean, obviously double Clockwork Gnome and Augmented Elic are in Killen's bottom 8. Like, obviously. No, of course.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Killen's odds on to have multiples of those cards in his draw so far.
Oh, okay.
It might be closer to 50-50.
Zilliax?
I'm sure Neil will tweet me sometime soon.
Well, remember, though, there is some discovers, too, and you can discover Clockwork Goblin.
Yep.
Which is it's a class card as well, so it is
weighted.
Like, weighted towards the discover, similar to or exactly the same, should I say, as Omega Devastator.
Precision.
And if it's exactly the same as Omega Devastator, it comes up every time.
Yes, it's literally just those 2 cards. It doesn't even show you a third.
Yeah. Boom!
Okay.
That's actually good news. Drawing a bomb is good for Languagehacker here, because he can now tank that damage and restore it with these surplus of walking fountains and Witch's Brews that he has.
He is going to Witch's Brew as well, right? Because he doesn't actually gain the first 4 heal.
Almost certainly yes.
Because now the hit plus 5 bombs does the job.
I imagine you Witch's Brew here for 4.
But then he's used another one. Now he's only down to 40
He's
possible
used
healing.
20 healing for 4, yes.
Ooh. It's inefficient.
But he has also only used 10 mana as opposed to if he wants to heal for 20, it's going to cost him the full 10, which Killen's job is to make sure there's enough pressure on that him healing for 10 is, him spending 10 mana on healing is not a viable prospect for him.
I think this is what Killen's thinking about.
Wow,
He passes.
okay.
He passes.
So this way, by leaving his hand full, he's preventing Killen from doing the turn this turn anyway, because his hand is full and therefore the bombs won't be able to be pushed through.
And because he has the Shudder Walk, he can burn a card. Honestly, I do not know what those 3 cards are. This game's had so many generated cards since the early Hagatha, I'm kind of lost.
Yeah.
But they are not Shudder Walk, and that's all you really need to know right now.
Right.
And they are not important to Languagehacker because he's happy with burning 1.
We have to ask the question now, is Language just going to sit with a full hand for the foreseeable future?
This would be a good
Because
time
the
for
longer
a
he
best
waits
of
to
play.
leave that gap in his hand, the better it gets for Killinallday to activate his combo. So is he just going to sit there until his Elysiana turn with a full hand?
Well, even his Elysiana turn will keep a full hand, right? So it'll give him a spell.
Yeah. Killen not incredibly invested in that outcome. Again, it's just keeping a space in his hand for him to be able to continue to draw cards that he wants from the rest of the deck. Namely that Clockwork Goblin.
Lickham.
Lickham goes down, no big deal.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because when you're against 10 cards that could just be anything, maybe you're fearful that you might need a brawl, but there are double shield slams. There's, you know, one more brawl, of course, Omega Devastator, and the Omega Assembly, plus everything else. Killen's probably confident he can deal with most things that are going to come out from this Elysiana. It's more about time than it is about actual impact of the cards.
Agreed. So this turn will be the biggest indicator of what Languagehacker's long-term game plan is. If he does nothing, or if he just plays one of the minions that will replace itself with a spell and just leaves it at that with 10 cards, it seems like he is going to try and lock Killinallday out of being able to activate the bomb combo on him, and that is exactly what he's going to do. So we have reached a stalemate position here. Killinallday has to find some way of generating pressure, which makes Languagehacker play cards as removal to then create space in his hand so that he can draw the bombs that Killinallday wants to shuffle in. That's where we're at.
Unity. Precision.
Well, that's his option. I was looking at whether he, you know, it's difficult with fatigue, of course, but whether he plays a shield block to reduce his Shivala down to a playable state. Because a 7/5 Divine Shield and it heals is a relevant threat to Languagehacker. But Languagehacker's hovering Elysiana now, and he might be saying go. Here we go.
Ooh. Sign me up, Omega Defender.
Looks like an Earth Elemental to me.
Could be Witch's Apprentice. Very high value card, actually, when you break it down in Hagatha form.
Does spells win him the game?
Sometimes.
Safe answer.
To 7/8s win in the game when your opponent hasn't used any of their removal yet.
Oh! Harrison, though.
Harrison is a spicy boy. It saves you a lot of damage on bombs.
Oh, he didn't go for it, though. Okay.
Did he take the Dalaran Mage?
Yep.
No one ever kills Dalaran Mage.
That is very true. Stormbringer, an option, but is he going to have enough minions? But with Dalaran Mage, maybe. Is that Arcane Watcher? Omega Mind, Lifesteal, Alex Straza has going to be a consideration, but took Omega Mind. Oh! Putting the pressure on Killinallday with the mutate into Nostalmu.
Blitz mode!
And this is now Spicy Hearthstone. Oh wait, as always, Omega Devastator will probably ruin the fun.
Blitz mode over.
Disengage.
Yeah.
Okay. Run us through those choices, Sol, because I'll be honest, I'm no Control Shaman expert yet, but those are some weird choices.
So he has a Mega Defender, which is in itself an incredibly just high-value minion for where he is at the game. 10 mana crystals, they're all incredibly powerful. On top of which, you generally want to pick minions with Control Shaman because they just double up, right? Like, why pick a spell when you can pick a minion that also gives you a spell? It's just so much more value. These Omega Mines are potentially massively clutch because giving his spells lifesteal when he has a Hagatha scheme that's been in his hand for God knows how long at this point is going to be a Reno Jackson.
Can we get a damage check, please?
There you go, 10 damage. That's a Reno if it hits 3 minions, even if he's at 1. And then beyond that, the Dalaran Mage Arcane Watcher combo he's picked up, right? Spell damage plus Arcane Watcher.
The use of combo is quite loose.
But it's fine, because as soon as he plays a Dalaran Mage, the game is over, wasn't it?
No, it was the 1/4.
Is that not what that's called?
No, Dalaran Mage is the 2/5 that gives spell damage. That's just a 1/4 that's plus 1 spell damage.
What's the 1/4 called then?
Gnome Dalaran Mage.
Okay.
I think I might be going crazy now.
I think you are.
Wait, I'm going crazy or I'm right?
Going crazy.
Okay.
Don't mind if I do!
I got that reference! Okay, well, finally, the Clockwork Goblin shows up to the party.
Yep.
Killing's been waiting a long time for this, but there is still C4 in Bomber. There is still Clockwork Goblin. I believe one more Clockwork Goblin left.
And there is still, crucially, Languagehacker engineering himself back to full hand again. Can't draw bombs if my hand's full.
Okay, then.
Yeah, just had confirmation. Ancient Mage is the name of the 2/5, and Dalaran Mage is the 1/4.
Yeah, but wasn't it a 1/4 he picked?
Yes. So it's the Dalaran Mage.
Right, okay.
Yeah. You have officially gone crazy.
I have gone crazy, yeah.
Shield Slam. Boom. Take 25, idiot.
Sol, as ever, with his aggressive smack talk to no one in particular, because he's not actually playing the game.
You just got to throw it out there sometimes. It just makes you feel better, you know?
Take that, frog. Is that how you do it?
A little lackluster, I'm going to be honest. Needs work. Ooh, hang on. Hang on, just a minute.
Sign up for a Bloodlust.
Feral Spirit being thrown out here is going to leave a space in hand.
He could play the Sludge Slipper as well, which fills the space up, doesn't it?
Oh, Lackey plus another spell. Yeah, true.
Didn't though.
All right, he's actually saying he wants to draw a card too.
Oh,
and the timing. The timing.
Okay.
The combo is complete.
I mean, you do it, right? Am I too wrong? It's as good as it's ever going to get.
It is. So, perfect world, Killing would do this in a scenario where the 3/4, the 3/3, and the 3/3 were representing huge board pressure as well. Which in this case they're not, because Languagehacker actually has a decent board of his own. Because they're not really worth anything if Languagehacker can just Shudderwock afterwards and put himself back in a position where he's not being threatened to be killed the next turn. So I think Killinallday is going to try and build up a little bit of ball pressure first and then go for that combination afterwards.
Yep. Definitely difficult though, because it takes some discipline, because what you've got to maybe push out your mind a little bit is Languagehacker might just be on 10 cards for the rest of the game then. You know, so you don't ever get to use the bomb. So it's just a small mental block you have to get over to say, well, this is an opportunity. He's not letting me do this for so many turns. And then to still not do it because of those reasons you pointed out is actually, you know, pretty impressive, to be honest.
And that's, when you talk about constant calculations, I talked about the constant calculation of how likely am I to die to the chain of bombs that are in the deck versus what's my win rate in the deck. There's another calculation that's extremely important to Languagehacker here at all times, which is, does the contents of my current hand fatigue the warrior from this position? Does it beat every card that he has remaining plus, you know, an average number of discovered mechs that he can pick up from the hero power? If the answer to that question is yes a lot of the time, then you could just sit and burn every remaining card in your deck.
I don't even know, Sol. That is hard from both players' sides. This is a hard game of Hearthstone. Apparently Witch's Brew number 1 million at this point is going to come out. Just get some topped up healing there. Languagehacker. Wait. He can't play Shudderwock next turn.
No,
he's overloaded.
He's overloaded.
Whoa!
This has to be the Smell Blood turn now for Killinallday, does it not?
I mean, if I can see it, I'm pretty sure Killing at least is aware of the situation. And he has a second Wrench Caliber to reshuffle bombs post Shudderwock, which isn't mind-blowing, but still. And there's already one bomb in the deck, right? Because of the C4 in bomber.
C4 in bomber, yep.
Whoa. I mean, I just really want Killen to do the turn, as you could probably tell, because I suggested it earlier when it was wrong. But still, this seems like a bit of a window. He has 2 goes at the bombs going off. We can see there's Witch's Cauldron for the heals. It's not Witch's Cauldron. Brew.
What are you talking about? Witch's Brew? Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
There is the heals available if the bombs aren't, chained hard enough. But still, he can still only go up to 30, and he's got another swing of Wrench Caliber the turn after on the empty Shudderwock turn.
Doesn't take it.
Okay, I can't wait to talk to Killen much later on about this specific game. I guess he's asking him, well, now there's damage. There's 9 damage on board. There are 2 bombs in the deck.
Yep.
That's correct, isn't there? Or is there 3? Because he's lost the weapon.
2, I think. I think the first charge was used. No, you might be right. It might be 3.
Oh, wait, okay, 2 or 3, whatever. Basically, he's threatening a lot of damage, and he has Blastmaster Boom, so he can proc the boom bots as well.
Yeah.
So he's actually, like, threatening lethal, depending on the bomb outcomes, of course. Mm-hmm. Oof. Also, side note, just so we're kept on top of things, Shivala, playable now, 10 mana.
Good. Yep, good note.
Just so we know. Nice big removal as well for example, this 5/6 on the board. Shivala can just kill it if it's ever deemed a problem.
Whoa.
So he wants to draw the spell damage into Bloodlust. Or, well, yeah, he has to, right? He's got no silence.
And what he wanted to do more than anything was fill his hand again.
Yep.
Because he was afraid. deeply afraid of the bad things Killinallday might do to him this turn.
Now he's only overloaded for 1.
This would be a good time.
But also, I'll half say it's made a couple of cards unplayable, or mainly just the Reign of Toads. And I say unplayable in a loose term, in just he can't follow up with Shudderwock the turn after.
Yeah. But he also can't play them and keep his hand size at 10, which actually almost makes them unplayable in this situation as well.
You know what? That's,
Good time for
you got. Oh yeah, because his Lucky Dude has been played, right?
Yeah.
Oh, another Clock Goblin.
Vicious Scrap Hound. There he is.
Yeah.
2/2 Armor Dog.
Mecha Pup.
That's the one.
That sounds like a name for a great show.
That you think.
Okay, so at this point, to be honest, if he plays 1 Goblin, was he not just threatening enough to make a Shudderwock happen? Is that four bombs?
He was threatening enough to at least make some healing happen, which then makes Languagehacker spend a card, create space in his hand, yada, yada, yada.
I just wonder now. Again, I'd just love to know what Killen's thinking, but with the Alec, he is never going to just play 3 Clockwork Gnomes flat in the same turn, right?
No.
It's because of mana. So I think he has 1 to drop freely. Maybe 1 into Boom to guarantee some Boom bots.
Sure.
Is it something you could be thinking about as well?
That's
Excuse
reasonable.
me. For a slow, drawn-out game, this is very exciting, which I feel like has been a theme of this tournament so far.
Bottom Warrior definitely makes life more interesting. That one I'm not going to argue with.
I must decide.
Okay, so there's another brew. We can see there's 1 more left in the tank.
Plus the Reno. The Omega Mind Hagatha's scheme.
Yep. Can play around that by not playing any more minions, though. Well, fatigue's there for Killing, so there has to be a plan soon. Because also, Killing, I think, has to live in a world where these statues may get to attack. Because it is an absurd pick if Languagehacker has 0 ways for them to attack. Unless he's thinking as far ahead as, they're to soak the Boombot hits.
Yeah, I mean...
yes, but...
Maybe if that was the only minion offered alongside 2 mediocre spells, I'd pick it. Maybe.
You've got to think a worst case, I think, in this point, though.
Yeah.
When you're this close to the game and it's really coming to the very end points, you got to think, what's the worst thing that could happen here? There's another bomb in the tank. Don't silence the statue. Whatever you do, kill him.
Yeah, again, similar to when the last owl was used, there's no real usage here of it except getting it out of his hand so that he can play more cards, fill up his hand again.
Uh-oh.
Dalaran Mage.
It's live.
3
he's gonna
mana,
do it.
1/4. Boom.
Dr. Dalaran. What a god. Is he gonna bust out a Shadow Walk? Wait, you could get an Omega Mind.
Sure.
So he doesn't want the hand size.
He can't. He can't go back to 10 this turn, right? He wasn't at 10 last turn, so he just drew the minion and he played it. He was back where he was. He can't increase his
I
hand
just mean
size
it's
from
going to
his
make it
position.
more difficult for him to go back to 10 after. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Because he draws one card, if it's a minion, he plays it, and then gets one card still on 9.
Right, but that's kind of the status quo forever, right?
I guess, yeah. We could have held.
This would
Yeah,
be a
it would
good
take quite
time
long,
to
wouldn't it?
Yeah,
To just pass.
You literally just have to like
Yeah,
sit there and
You're
wait
right,
for your
you're right.
hand to fill up doing nothing.
Well, here comes the bots.
Yeah.
That is a very good hero power, actually, for that turn. Being able to just remove 4 damage,
Yep.
so the trades might work out a little bit
What?
better. That was.
Admirable lied to me. He told me no one ever killed Dalaran Mage.
Is a Boombot really a someone or a something?
These questions are getting very existential, Raven.
Okay, there's 1. Okay, there's 2. Okay, it's still 2. Now, has these sort of... I was going to call them something then, but I won't. Have these few bombs... Is this pushing the scheme now because of Dr. Boom on the board? Blastmaster Boom, sorry, on the board?
Might well be, yeah. This could be the Reno turn. The Omega Mind scheme.
Lit.
Because everything else, like you said, the damage back onto you if you just Witch's Brew all turn, it's too much in my opinion.
Yep.
I think any damage feels too much, to be honest, for Witch's Brew.
Yep.
Here it is. Rock Biter weapon, pretty low value, just like those bombs. Nice total of 2 damage to the face.
I must decide.
And now, yet again, empty board. Time to develop pressure. Space in hand for Languagehacker to
Wait.
draw the bombs.
Is there 2 bombs left in the deck? Alhom hands up, poor job of tracking. There's at least 1, right?
Killen still says no.
Well, okay. Does he think his health benefit means he can go to fatigue? But he won't. Doesn't matter. Does he want to force Shudder Walk and then do it?
Do it at the end of the second rep.
Well, not
Is he living that
at the
long?
end. I mean, once he plays Shudder Walk, it's done. He has 10 of his cards and then a million bombs.
Sure.
I'm just thinking, is
Sure.
that what he wants to do? Like, make him just play the Shudder Walk. You cannot wipe the bombs. You have to play Shudder Walk or you'll die. Go. Then he just has to wait because there's no wipe unless he discovers another Shudder Walk or an Elysiana.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm thinking of these strategies on the fly because this is... Killing's surprising me in the way he's playing, but I confess I probably would have played this very badly. So.
But what happens if then Languagehacker plays his Shudder Walk, picks some cards, and then waits the 1 turn to fill up his hand again?
Dunno.
I must decide.
Like I said, I'm just trying to piece together some form of plan.
Yeah. Well, Languagehacker's burning a lot of cards here. I say burning a lot of cards. The exact opposite. He is leaving space in his hand so he doesn't burn cards.
This Dalaran Mage is actually doing work. Because the Kaboom bot could actually just kill off the 12-6 pretty easily. Except now it might not. But then again, Dalaran Mage never dies, apparently. So
Yeah.
it's not doing any work.
Okay, then.
Oh, wait, yeah. I actually didn't even look at the AOPL. This helps.
And everything helps. It's kind of the theme of Dr. Boom. A ragtag collection of random mechs turned into the best removal in the game.
And let's be honest, Languagehacker is being pushed right now because if he Rain of Frogs, that's a problem. He has double Bloodlust, a Totemic Might, and a Rockbiter weapon and a Dream, but who cares? Shudderwalk's getting played, and that is going to be the Elysiana replay.
Gets the Mossy Horror value.
Okay.
These Omega Defenders are going to go off now as well, proccing on his Shudder Walk. And there goes the full hand size. Your move, Killen?
Yep, correctly passes, and even though the Totemic Might, he could get out of his hand, but he doesn't care. Can we get a hover to see the Elysianas from the Shudderwock battle cry, please?
I don't even want to know. Don't care. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so there's the Venture Co, not bad.
Saranac Taskmaster.
Moonkin, kind of weird.
Okay.
For spell damage, not really needed, so nothing mind-blowing, I would say there.
Right.
Nice brawl outcome. And now, like...
Now Language just waits with a full hand.
But does he die before killing? If he just never plays anything? Well, not never plays anything, but... That Chevale's pretty good.
I'm sorry? He's going to be like, what, 14, 15 ticks ahead in fatigue by the time he gets there?
Maybe. I just don't know Killing's plan. When he skipped on the big turns that he could have gone in, I'm choosing to believe Killing has a plan.
Okay. Wait, Language has left space in his hand again.
Huh? This was Killing's plan all along. He's going in. He pretty much has to. So that's 2. That's 4. And the swing is going to make 6.
Yep.
And again, Languagehacker on 23. He does have the space to draw the bombs, which means there is plenty of room to die. And here we go. The first draw. That's a good one.
5.
Count together. 5.
5.
Oof, okay.
Languagehacker, sir, please fill up your hand immediately.
He's like, pass then, just to be sure.
I mean, again, he can play minions.
Yeah,
they
I
replace
know.
themselves.
It's just funny that last turn there was a gap.
What did he play last turn that didn't replace itself?
Pass. Problem as well is he can't heal, right? He wants to keep his hand full? Because he doesn't have a double minion. There's a minion that creates 2.
Yeah.
I must decide.
Is that another gap?
I think so.
Is this a crack in the wall? Is he trying to bloodlust? Or he's trying to double lust,
Double
right?
bloodlust to
Trying
end
to
the
double
game.
lust. Did he need to?
It's a great question.
Count together, people.
There's another bomb going in. He generated this board into the 1-1 rush turn as well from the hero power. Which can clear this mess up.
And he still isn't
This would be a
dead
good
to
time
double
for a
bloodlust
little
next turn, right?
6, 12, 18, 24. Even if the board remains just like this, no, he's not.
Yeah. But what I mean
Which it
is,
won't.
if he kills the 1/4 at least, it summons another 1 attack minion, which
Yeah.
is the same, except he took 1 damage, but he can take that anyway.
But there's still the room for the extra rush
kill the
bots to
2
get
Murlocs.
through
Yeah.
the Murlocs,
Be a
yeah.
good time for
I just mean the worst case for some reason. You know,
It's time to test.
I'm going to drop the Chevala to make Languagehacker have to answer this in some respect, because yes, it's not going to keep killing alive for long. It also deals 7 damage. There's another 3. So Chevala now again just a threat in itself for any extra damage. Are the bombs going to be drawn? Let's find out.
5.
One more.
5.
Wow. Okay. Again. This is tense. Frost Shock is going to be nice to slow down that Chevala.
Ancestral Spirit is going to be nice to create a wall of taunts that it's not going to ever get through.
And Ancestral Healing as well on something else, if he so desires. The Moonkin, I believe, has 8 health. So he can actually just be slightly out of range of Chevala in most circumstances. And now Killing's just playing the sitting and waiting game. All he has to do is decide where to aim a Chevala and when and how to aim a hero power if that is the correct one.
Right.
Okay, there's the Moonkin. Between
must decide.
Is he going to mutate this Moonkin?
Looks like
He's
it.
going to mutate.
Goes for the 8 drop.
Oh, okay. 8-8, Death Rattle, heal yourself for 8.
That is the nuts.
He can taunt that
in
up
this
as well
scenario.
to force some kind of trade at some point.
That trade's never going to happen.
Oh, it's never going to happen.
Killen's just out of minions now.
Yep. Armor up past Bud,
It's bombs or nothing.
and then it's Bloodlust or nothing.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
5.
Okay. Oh!
5.
Oh my. Oh my, oh my. Wait. Was double Bloodlust lethal?
The lightning bolt for the heal! Oh, never mind all that, Raven. He had 8, 9, 10, plus
Yeah.
6, plus 6.
Plus 6. He had 3 minions that could attack.
Uh-huh. Oh, sorry, plus 9, plus 9. So he had 28, plus that 9. No, he was
Plus-
2 off. He would have done 28
Wow.
damage to
Yeah,
that
yeah,
mount
yeah,
that
yeah,
you're
yeah,
looking
yeah,
at
yeah.
right now. And I think
Wow.
that is the final safety net now for Languagehacker. The overload on the previous
lost
turn,
them
he's
now.
only able to Bloodlust once, but it looks good with the Rockbiter weapon to finally push through and get over the line against Killinallday. 14, 4, 4, and that final 5 coming the wrong way with 10 fatigue on Killin means a Languagehacker in a monster that just about broke my brain. What
Welcome
isn't
to
a
my
mystery
world.
is the importance of this road game now for Languagehacker, because he is 2-1 up. And this, as you just saw, is a decider match with the winner going on to face one of the top players in the world on form right now in Bunny Hopper. And Killin has got to find a way to get this warrior over the line. And Languagehacker has built his decks to do exactly what they've been doing up to this point, and that's beat up some bomb warrior.
Yeah, and that's completely true. You can see maybe a few differences from the regular or most common rogue builds you've seen. Double Violet Teacher is there, along with 2 Evil Cable Rats, and, you know, most importantly, the Heist Baron Togwaggle, along with a couple of Shadow Steps and a Togwaggle scheme.
Togwaggle scheme.
Put all that together, and you can make a lot of Togs and make a lot of treasures that kill a lot of warriors. And it is, 1, very powerful, and 2, really fun. You should try this deck if you can build it.
What you're trying to say is, put all that together, toss some bones in there, and baby, you got a stew going.
Another reference I don't get.
It's the same reference. It's
Oh, was
the
it?
exact same one.
Still don't get it. If I didn't get it the first time, I didn't watch a show in the break, Sol. I'm not caught up.
If you ever
been working.
needed confirmation that Raven just tunes out and the various random things that I say during
Yeah, so
a
Warrior
Hearthstone
here as we go. Could
Well
play Alec
played.
on curve. We have to put some pressure on, because he does need to do something. This isn't, you know, this is almost the opposite of the matchup that we just saw for this bomb warrior. You cannot just sit and let Rogue do what it wants, because it will kill you very, very quickly. Backstab SI, going to be fantastic to clear this Alec. The dagger for the 1-1 that's left. It's going to have a pretty good start here for Languagehacker.
Teacher, probably not the card for the matchup in terms of the, you know, the spell synergy cards that you could find. I think this is far more a matchup like Questing Adventurer and Van Cleef that really want to go nuts. Violet Teacher just summoning a bunch of little tokens, not going to be the biggest threats in the world.
Got to be a little bit careful too, because outside of, say, Prep Fan with a Teacher, then there's not a lot you can do, because Teacher often just runs, on curve at least, straight into a Dynomatic, which is something you have to constantly think about against Warrior, but instead that sprint changes everything.
Yep.
Subtle.
I like this. Get through the deck. Find that Heist Baron. Find that scheme as early as you can. Find that Betrayal. That's the real key card he was looking for. Something that I'd forgotten up until this point. Languagehacker is playing in his deck the single copy of Betrayal, which to my mind is a nod towards a deck that we've been talking about a lot as one of the real surprise power decks in this tournament, the Mage. The Mage is a deck that puts 7/8s and 8/8s next to each other as a win condition, so Betrayal potentially then becomes incredibly powerful. And since we're talking about it as like a breakout star of the tournament, the fact that Languagehacker has the foresight to recognize that he potentially needs to tech for that is huge for him.
It really is, and there's added depth as well, because I'll give you a bit of a throwback, Sol. Do you remember when George C. put Leroy in like every deck to make his opponents play around them?
George C, youngest leg EU, that guy?
We're going that far back, right?
Whew.
The fact that Betrayal is in Languagehacker and only Languagehacker's deck in this tournament means that his opponents have one small extra thing to think about that they might let slip in a high-pressure scenario.
That's fair.
So it's not the only reason he's put it in, of course. The reason you outlined is the reason, but it's just a small thing. Now you've got to think about placement against Rogue, which really normally isn't a thing.
In the meantime, Languagehacker did find that scheme, which means it's ever growing, which means he's in business in terms of whichever win condition he wants to go for. And there is some disagreement on which is the correct way to go about this if you have the luxury of choosing, whether it's better to just continually shuffle the actual Heist Barons back into your deck and then use tools like Shadow Step to create extra copies of Lackeys, which you can then ration out throughout the game to get, you know, as many as 6 or 7 Togwaggles through the game. You then take a certain number of draw 3 for 0 mana, a certain number of legendaries, and a certain one final golden monkey to transform the remainder at the end. Or you can do the version, which I don't know if it's better, but it's what I do because it's more fun, which is to just get a bunch of Leroys with your scheme and then get as many draw 3s for 0 mana as you can off Togwaggles with Shadow Step, fill your deck with Leroys, draw them as many as you can so they cost 0 mana, full border Leroys burst damage. GG.
I have done that, and that is very, very fun. I can agree with you on that one. And just a small note as well, this deck is playing the Evil Cable rep, which means that there are effectively 6 base Lackeys in the deck.
Wow, okay.
So there's 2 from the 2 Evil Miscreants, 2 each, so 4.
Yep.
And then there's the 2 Cable Rats, and that's without a Shadow Step.
All
so
right,
that's 6.
That just gets there.
You can
then
Shadow
on the
Step
player.
other stuff.
Yeah,
you could even, without the scheme in desperation,
Right.
Shadow Step a Togwaggle, which is what I've done before in the deck.
It's worth noticing as well that I'm talking in terms of a Control Warrior matchup when I outline all that. Of course, doing that against Bomb Warrior is much more difficult because they do involve pushing yourself down to a very small deck size, so your deck is then incredibly highly diluted with those cards that you shuffle in, so you draw them very consistently. If you do that, it's going to open the door to Killinallday potentially just bursting you out with bombs on the backswing.
Yeah, and there are other notes as well. There is Ziliax in this deck. You could just shuffle Ziliax in and just out-heal things.
Sure.
You can shuffle Questing Adventures, which there's 2 ofs in, and start just continually trying to build up just sort of an endless army of minions that keep stacking. These are small things and not as big, of course, but I'm just talking the general flexibility of Togwaggle when you don't have a singular way that always wins. The respect. He could just play Tog and bounce it now if he really wanted. Or shuffle, of course, but maybe not with 15 cards.
Not the worst idea I've ever heard. Not with his scheme only at 3, I believe, as well. You'll be looking for a lot more value than that out of it.
But like, Shadow Step, there's still tons of Lackeys still left in the deck.
Yep.
You could have just a power turn, maybe make a couple of legendaries, or just draw through the deck quicker.
All right, I think this settles the score on where Languagehacker's game plan is here. Shadow Step in that Evil Miscreant. He is going big on the Lackey count. Unless some of these are going to get committed straight away, I think it's a pretty clear indicator as to where we are with Languagehacker's game plan. It's worth noting as well that when you say, like, oh, this late-game game plan where you shuffle a bunch of copies of 1 minion into your deck and blow Warrior out with it, that assumes they've already beaten your wave of Questing Adventurers and Edwin Van Cleefs and Violet Teachers and everything you're throwing at them naturally. They still have to do that first.
So, most importantly as well, when you do shuffle a million cards in your deck, bombs suck.
Also fair.
You've got me down to 6 cards, you shuffle 4 bombs in.
There is that window, though, right? Because like I said, before you shuffle all your copies in, you do generally want to pull yourself down, right? So like over 50% of your deck is the card that you shuffled in there. There's that window where as you draw a bunch of cards to thin your deck out, that the Warrior can make that push. Kind of similar to the balancing act that we saw in the previous game.
I think the snapback of just the power of the treasures just makes that a lot safer to do, because the treasures do silly things.
Yes.
And if you're going to keep creating them, you can continue to do silly things every turn, as well as being okay with a dud draw of just a random rogue card.
And here comes Togwaggle number 1.
Small nod from Killen. It's like, yep, well, I know the plan. I know this deck exists.
4 Togs going back in. Option number 1 is a wand, as predicted. We'll see if and when he diverts from draw onto summon legendaries, if ever, and whether there is that final gold monkey if he gets to that point.
This may be a note as well. You know, we talked about late game. You can wait and wait and wait in the control matchup against Control Warrior. And Languagehacker clearly won, just had a decent turn, but also doesn't want to shuffle 10 togs in. Or, you know, anything silly, like he put in just enough to cause Killing to have some pain.
Sure. Just going to rip the wand. 2 more lackeys, still locked and loaded, ready to go. Draws a bomb. That's actually kind of good for him in this scenario. It's reducing the power of the Dr. Boom that Killinallday does have available to him.
Yep, Mr. Zero cost though.
Sure.
It's a weird interaction
That's
of the bomb cost 0, technically.
I will revise my statement to, there are pros and cons of what just happened to Languagehacker.
Oh, is that how you fixed it? I'm going to say that for everything now. There are pros and cons of this. And it's like, well, I half got it right at worst.
Isn't that how you cast anyway? Just never take a stance on anything?
No, I take stances. You just laugh at them all.
Fair.
Cool. Does Languagehacker want to keep his hand full? to play around the bomb?
No, don't send me back to this nightmare. I can't work it out. I don't know why his hand wasn't just full for the entire game.
And even now, you can also kind of see that in a kind of weird way, Languagehacker is also just beating him up with lackeys and other minions. Like that now is a 5/7, a little bit awkward to deal with, and less susceptible to Warpath. And it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, worth noting, double Warpath still in Killinallday's Bomb Warrior, which is not a guarantee that both copies are there when they're playing all the bomb cards in there as well. He is still playing double Brawl, double Warpath, double Shield Slam. So he's got a good amount of removal packed in there.
Awkward amount of health on the board as well. I was looking at whether like
Raven was making whirly motions with his fingers.
Well, Warpath.
Yeah, exactly.
Like double Warpath, Dynamatic, for example, if that got you anywhere. But with a 7, 5, and a 4 health, like,
Magic neutralized.
That's a good one though.
It's a lot worse when it doesn't have Rush, is the most banal statement ever made, but we're in a world where that makes a difference.
Talk about safe casting.
I know.
Jeez.
But there isn't any other way to point out how ridiculous Dr. Boom is than just point out the discrepancy between every mech having Rush or not, because that's the reality that we live in.
It's going to be like, yeah, cards were good if they had more attack.
Yeah.
Academic Espionage.
Would you like 10 more cards that aren't bombs in your deck? Caveat, they're also not the Togs that you shuffled in there.
Would you also like cards that can put bombs in Killing's deck? Aha! Really switcheroo the tables.
What if Headcrack just gets there?
I will stand up and applaud. And that will be the whole outro to this match.
I think Headcrack might get there.
I wouldn't be upset if he picked it.
Aww.
Well, no applause for you, Languagehacker. You had your chance and you blew it. It is kind of like the ultimate backup plan, right? He could not play this all game, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But if he somehow doesn't get there, and then bombs become a problem, boom, extra cards, let's go.
Chop.
It's never bad to have a plan B.
Bellringer Sentry?
Yep. I like this Quest Adventure overall, just a very high threat. Wait.
He just prepped for the... He prepped to get the 6th health on the Questing Adventurer to stop 5 Warpaths clearing the board.
It's just as Languagehacker reached for his head, I thought it was a failfish type thing.
No.
But no, it was not. It was literally just to get out of range, as you quite rightly said. And there is Dr. Boom. Can he afford to play it, though? He might just die.
He can Iron Beak Owl with it, which does neutralize, honestly, what, 60, 70, 80% of the threat of this board state?
I don't know. Like is a pretty threatening to me.
Sure.
Also allows him to trade off a minion to then play a Tog.
It also just gets him in the business of being able to play Blastmaster Boom with rushing Boom bots sooner rather than later, and I think that's the deal breaker for me.
Yeah, not going to take a chance. I was thinking with that hero power, can he just wipe some of the board away? And then,
No.
But with the question of entry, you can't take the chance. Especially, this is tournament life.
Yeah.
If Killen loses this game, he's going home.
Yeah.
He is not going to be the world champion. He's not even going to make it to Sunday.
Nope. No matchup. With the EU favorite Bunny Hopper for him, it will be Languagehacker going through. Tog number 2 has been found off the top. See where Languagehacker's head is with the second treasure here.
3 more talks. He shuffled 4, am I correct?
He shuffled 4, yeah.
Yep. So 3 more left in the deck.
I suspect this is still Wand at this point in the game. But we shall see. Yes, it is. Nice. There are pros and cons to those 3 cards that he just drew for 0
Safe,
mana.
subtle returns. That was Survivor of the Lake, not Safe of the Lake.
Can you imagine if I just casted just never deliberately trying to trigger people?
Nope.
What would that sound like?
Unfun for me.
Okay.
Funnily enough as well, the espionage kind of acts as gasoline for the monkey pick later on. Because if you want to use all your cards in hand, the espionage means there's more cards to draw to then monkey at a much later stage.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think it's actually a pretty heads-up pick.
Yeah,
it's pretty
I think
flexible when you think about it.
he can also definitely time it for any point where he feels like he's under
Yes,
bomb pressure,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
He
this
just
is
throw it out
additional,
there.
yeah.
It's a very flexible pick in the matchup.
Here comes the Warpath. Just to clear up this board, but Killinallday, 27 raw health. No armor build-up. He has pushed Languagehacker down a little bit now.
Yep. 0 mana Ziliax in hand, though. I did wonder about that Shadow Step usage, just how greedy he felt like he had to be. Because Shadow Step on Ziliax might just be very much to his benefit in this scenario.
Again. I feel like he has to start going for some kind of like push this turn. I think he can spend, yeah, there you go. I think he can spend 1 crown. He's just seen the Warpath to help play.
2 wands, switch to crowns.
Wait. Wait.
The pleasure is mine.
Wait. Wait, Normie, yeah.
Raven activated Operation Brain Shutdown.
Yeah, I was like, is Hakar good because he can shuffle more cards in and Killing can't?
Don't think so.
But they're also 2 really hard-hitting minions, so Killing has to clear the board
Yeah,
or take a lot of damage.
yeah.
If he clears the board, then Languagehacker can kind of play around the bloods
Sure.
and the bombs.
He's at 13, though. I don't want to be in a world where there's bombs and bloods in my deck at 13. Particularly when I'm almost certainly locked to 1 Ziliax for the remainder of this game.
Yeah. Imagine if he had Shadow Step for Chef Nomi.
I mean...
I just mean he could go to 0, play it, and then just shuffle all the espionage cards.
I mean, there's a possibility that if Languagehacker wins this game, he's depriving us of seeing Chef Nomi Priest this series. So at least he gave us the cameo.
Yeah. Twice. Pretty hard turn, actually. His 6 health is huge.
Very hard.
I was thinking, like, Ziliax and the war game, maybe? You know, they're just something?
There's option number 1. Set your opponent to a multiple of 5 and shovel some bombs into the deck. It was something I was just about to approach. I got there very late. I think I got baited there. I think Killinallday's perhaps made the smart play here with the state of his hand. 5!
Count together! No.
5. I think Killen made the smart play there, and I think I was too slow to recognize it. I spent that whole turn in silence just evaluating different combinations of Dynamatic and Ziliax and so on clearing. I think Killen perhaps right in that scenario. Just say, you know what? 13 minus 3 is 10, and 10 is a multiple of 5. I'm in trouble this game. Let's giddy up.
I might just win. Yeah. And it was close. He got 1. Got halfway there. But now, though, because the Ziliax is down, it means that Languagehacker can play his own Ziliax to push himself out of range.
Yes.
And also, obviously, the Academic Espionage is going to help a tad. Sprint's probably not going to get used though now. I
No.
don't think. I don't think there's any
I would
valid
imagine
point
not.
as a bonus. It doesn't outweigh. There are no pros and cons, Sol.
Just cons.
You're going to +1 the Ziliax for every point of healing.
This is actually very, very clutch because by making this heal for 4, he then outscales the Wrench Caliber by 1. The Wrench Caliber, even if Killin's able to remove this Ziliax without activating the healing, and then the Wrench Caliber connects with Face, Languagehacker then sits 1 above that multiple of 5, which is massively key in this situation.
To translate, nice.
To translate, 6 better than 5.
Cast like this all the time, Sol. And the best part here is there was the clean kill on the Ziliax without lifesteal, as you can see being played right now. Warpath at minimum does this and gets rid of Ziliax, which means that could, let's have a look in a minute. We'll find out very soon, but that could have saved Languagehacker, at least for now.
Full clear. 5 Warpaths wasn't going to do it. 4 plus the 1 point of extra damage by summoning the 3 Microbots instead of the 5th Warpath does get him there. Languagehacker just wants any old garbage that costs 1. Just not bombs.
Oh, okay.
That'll do quite nicely.
Give me a quest.
Fan of Knives in hand, Sprint in hand. Both pretty dead cards in this scenario.
He needs to play Van Cleef, right? He needs to make a board big enough that Blastmaster Boom bots are unlikely to kill him.
Yes,
because
I
that's
agree.
the next fear factor of, yes, he could draw bombs, he could also get killed by smaller bombs that are actually on the board.
Agreed.
And with how cheap his hand is, I think he just goes in. Chuck the Darius down, chuck the Cleef down, and let's go.
Oh!
Gunspire.
That is
Tongas.
a brave young man right there.
Oh.
Perfection. Gas for days now.
And a Gunspire. No more AoE for you, friend.
Oh, you're so right. Oh, that is huge. I couldn't even get the word
Sol
out.
can't even talk anymore. We broke him.
TJ was asking backstage earlier what cards actually got me hyped. Black Howell Gunspire, when your opponent has to throw random sources of damage at your board to live, that kind of gets me there.
Why didn't you play it? Why Darius?
Did he not have... I guess the man spare he could have played it instead of Darius. I think all things considered, having a 4/4 that can actually attack is still favourable.
Well, look at Languagehacker's face. That sums up, I think, everyone's feelings watching this game right now. If only the Rusty bot had Rush. Here we go.
Well, welcome to Goblin versus Gnomes, everyone. Remember these days? There's no Azadrakes to kill, but there is a nice, juicy face with 6 health.
Killing taking his time.
Killing all day needs a very low percentage outer.
The Rush.
Smart stuff, eliminating the minion.
Oh!
That's not a face. This one has to connect face for there to be any chance it does.
Oh! One more for good luck.
1 in 8.
Oh. Languagehacker fist bumps. He is not out of the woods yet. Let's see what he's drawing. It's a bomb. He gets him. Killing. Kills him with a bomb at last. Languagehacker cannot dodge it. And you have to go all the way back and consider the Gunspire being played to maybe one have more health on the board. Frankly and factually, more likely.
Without the sprint, he generated a much smaller board, though, which then makes the Boommaster just more likely to be lethal out on its own.
I ain't saying it's wrong, Sol.
And
I'm
also,
saying it's blowing my mind.
If he does draw a bomb there, the Blastmaster Boom then has less Boombots to rush at him the next turn anyway, so that still kind of offsets itself in how, like, there's another game of Hearthstone going on here with a really cool deck, but I almost don't care. That's how exciting that last game was.
We saw Nomi, it's fine. We're done. But we have a job to do, and it's all coming down to the wire. And I will say right now, we've got one more day and more games today as well of the World Championship. But so far, I have been satisfied about the crazy level of games we've had so far in this tournament, and it looks like it's set to continue. Languagehacker versus Killinallday. Last game, for a spot for tomorrow.
Bear with me.
Rogue
I'm just
versus
going to shotgun this entire bottle of water, and then I'll be right back with you.
Okay, please just angle the mic. We don't want to listen to that. But okay. Languagehacker still has a chance, but he is up against a very unconventional style of deck, which is Chef Nomi Priest. The overall idea is there's a lot of zero-cost cards and a lot of card draw involved, mainly with Gadgets and Auctioneer to be used as the activator and engine for the card draw to get to that zero card count in the deck. Chef Nomi goes down, creates a huge board that your opponent has to deal with, and outside of that there is Seance as well, a 7/8 potentially zero-cost Giants to buff.
Yep, and this is a deck that Killinallday is actually pretty comfortable playing against Rogue, I believe. Not necessarily this build of Rogue, more happy against the tempo version, the lackey version, the turn 8 Rogue, as I've been calling it throughout this tournament. But certainly it's something that Rogue can struggle to deal with. Just too many big taunts come down too quickly for them to be able to achieve lethal with just a couple of saps in their deck, unless they're able to stick overwhelmingly powerful minions early. And their overwhelmingly powerful minions come in the form of things like Edwin Van Cleef and Questing Adventurer. And, well, Killinallday just has silence effects in his deck to deal with that.
Counterpoint.
Go on.
Betrayal.
That is a stellar counterpoint.
Get wrecked, Sol. It's pretty sick, actually, isn't it, when you think about it?
Fan of Knives Betrayal.
Even just a dagger poke on, to just kill one, and you've got lackeys as far as you can see most of the time on this board. There are a lot of removal with the Pyros, for example, but still,
boy.
Betrayal.
The Betrayal.
Betrayal's a good card right now. Don't laugh if you see it on ladder. It's got some merit. But also, well, you give me breakdown. Mana Tide, drawing a prep with sprint in hand, looks pretty spicy in itself.
This is huge, by the way, for Languagehacker. The fact that his questing demanded the Lazul Scheme Topsy-Turvy combo from Killinallday means that his Gadgetzan Auctioneer turns now are so much weaker than they were. That combination, Auctioneer, Lazul's Scheme, make your attack 0, Topsy-Turvy, flip your attack so it's your health and I kill you. That is the equivalent of the classic Miracle Rogue, Gadgetzan Auctioneer, prep, sap. I draw cards, I kill your minion, I gain tempo, I'm secure, and I'm further through my deck. All the things a combo deck wants to do. If you can force the Nomi Priest to do that without Auctioneer on the board, you are winning.
And now a clean kill there on the Cleric. Let's see what this card is. Mass Hysteria. The big problem now is 5-card hand, one of them's the coin. Guess what? Killing needs a Gadgetzan because there's one Cleric gone. There isn't much card draw in the deck without the engine. There is Acolyte of Pain and there's one more Cleric, but really it's that Gadgetzan.
You play both.
Oh, sorry, was that two?
He played out both.
I'm too excited, I'm sorry. No, gone, finished. There are not a lot of cards in Killen's hand, and that's not the position you want to be with this Priest. And now Languagehacker getting that prep into the sprint is just absolutely where he wants to be with this deck. This is what Miracle Rogue wants to do. Prep sprint, the equivalent of a Gadgetzan turn. That's why throughout history of Rogue, those things have come in and out of popularity because they do such similar jobs. And Killen, honestly, I'm going to say if he doesn't draw Gadgetzan in the next couple of turns, he loses.
Just a handful of air.
Yeah,
just
that's
pure
literally going to be it. There's now Evil Miscreant. There's another sprint. There's Heistbrow and Togwaggle. There's a Questing Adventurer.
There's about to be Questing Adventurers.
He has to play a Silence. One less card for Gadgetzan.
I honestly wonder there whether having drawn that Questing Adventurer off the Fan of Knives, obviously the original plan was prep Fan, drop the Miscreant. Having drawn the questing, was it ever worth diverting there? You can see that your opponent just is not answering your minions. You haven't really presented a big threat to him yet, but the Ziliax has been there chipping away for a couple of turns. And the suit, a questing down one turn earlier can represent 8 to 10 extra damage.
Very true. Heist Baron with prep in hand 2 is also pretty reasonable in itself.
He's suggesting he's just going to prep legendaries and go for the gusto.
I think he's just doing stuff.
Sure.
Hey, why not? Just kill him?
All right, prep legendaries it is.
Killinallday has done nothing and turn 6 has passed. Gadgetzan is not in hand.
Yeah.
Play the game, get him wrecked, and Undertaker might be the pick here to just beat him up. Look, there's no Gadgetzan. What's your opponent going to do to this? I like it a lot, actually.
Fair enough.
He saves a question for refill if he really wants, but who cares? He has lackeys, he has the He has the Togwaggle, and now with Shadow Step, he can do it all over again if a great Mass Hysteria comes down, number 2.
Yep.
What's the draw?
Yikes.
Doesn't matter, and I think that's just game.
I think Killinallday is just going to fall on his sword here. This incredibly risky meta read. The deck that was recommended to him in practice that was immediately dismissed, but then revisited and chosen to be the route through to the top 8 and beyond has failed him at the final hurdle. And it is going to be Languagehacker after that